How much is a second worth when a child's life is on the line? Sometimes the decisions aren't made by people at all. In the Andrews house, water was always a special guest. Their quiet street by the river seemed picture-perfect, until the rains came. No one expected the sky to tear open that night. Rachel, the mother, nagged her husband all morning. "You should check the forecast. They're saying floods." Tom just snorted like always. "Come on, it's just a summer storm." Their peaceful morning started with the smell of coffee and the gentle snoring of their golden retriever Barney. Barney wasn't just a dog. He was part of the family, and sometimes it seemed like he was the only one who actually understood what was going on. He woke up first today. He went to the baby's crib to check if little Lily was okay. The girl smiled in her sleep, and Barney quietly lay down beside her, as if he knew her dreams were his responsibility. At that moment, Rachel watched from the kitchen, thoughtful. "Sometimes I feel like Barney's more of a parent than we are." Of course, Tom heard none of this. He was buried in work, big project, even bigger phone call, and a constant sense that he was missing something important. The alarm blared when it was already too late. Water was slipping down the stairs, first slowly, then with stubborn, furious force. Rachel rushed to grab documents. Tom called emergency services. Their whole life boiled down to what could fit in a backpack in a child's arms. Only Barney, sensing something wrong, ran back to the nursery. No adult was thinking about the crib set up on the lowest level closest to the window. Lily slept while the water lapped at the crib's legs. Barney whined, jumped up, and in that moment something snapped in Tom. "Where's Lily?" "She's in the nursery." Both of them rushed to the door, but the floor had already become a mirror of water. They slipped, fell, cursed, but only in their minds. Fear for Lily was too much. Barney had already jumped up on the crib, grabbing the edge of the blanket with his teeth. There was no time to think. The water crept up to the mattress and the baby, still sleeping. Right then, all their adult composure melted away. "Barney, bring her!" Rachel yelled, not quite believing the dog would understand. But Barney did. He pulled the child from the crib as gently as if she were the most precious thing in the world. The baby coughed but didn't cry. Outside, the water kept rising. What happened next changed everything. You won't want to miss how it unfolds. Sometimes, only in moments of panic do families learn truths about each other that change everything. They rushed out of the house. Someone with documents, someone with a bundle of clothes, someone barefoot clutching the baby. Cars stood stranded on the flooded streets. Neighbors panicked, some yelling, some praying. Rachel held Lily tight while Barney circled them, watching every move like their own private rescue service. Tom grumbled, "I told you we should have moved to higher ground, but no one listened to me. Now's not the time for blame." Rachel snapped, but her voice trembled. "God, Barney, you just saved our daughter." For the first time in years, gratitude mixed with fear passed between Tom and Rachel. They looked back at their house, water up to the windows. All that seemed important, furniture, photos, TV, sank into muddy oblivion. Barney, soaked and muddy, sniffed at Lily, checking that she was okay, and then he dashed back inside. "Barney, come back!" Rachel screamed, but the dog seemed blind to her voice. Tom grabbed her arm. "Leave him, he's lost it." But then came a crash. A ceiling beam caved in. The water had destroyed the foundation. The house tilted, ready to sink into a swamp of the past. Barney disappeared into the dark. Rachel's legs gave way. "What now? How do I explain to my daughter that we left him?" Tom was silent. For once, no sarcastic retort, just anger at himself. Around them, neighbors stood. The same ones who once called the dog a nuisance. Some urged caution. Others watched, ashamed. "We have to try," Rachel shouted. "Can't you see? It's over. And yet, this is the turning point. Everything you've waited for right here. Stay to see how the hero stands up to everyone." What could make a mother risk her life for a dog when everyone's yelling, "Save yourself"? One word, conscience. But what if she's wrong? Everything they knew about themselves collapsed. Water cut off the way back, and the house, like an old ship, drifted away. Everyone had their own choices, their own losses. Some clung to papers, some to children, some just stood frozen, hoping for a miracle. Rachel couldn't stand still. Her heart pounded louder than the rushing water behind her. She looked at Lily, bundled in the rescued blanket. For a second, the baby's gaze seemed wise, understanding, even forgiving. Tom squeezed her shoulder. "Don't you dare." But she already shrugged off his hand. "You couldn't forgive yourself if you left Barney behind." She plunged into the house. The water was icy, stinking of mold and fear. Underfoot, the step crumbled, then slippery tile where Lily's bath once sat. Rachel felt her way forward, shouting the dog's name. "Barney! Barney, come here!" A faint bark. A flash of hope. Or was it a dying illusion? Through a gap in the wall she saw golden fur and a piece of an old teddy bear in Barney's jaws. But the dog wasn't saving a toy. He'd found a tiny mouse Lily had dropped under the sofa yesterday. Barney, muddy and drenched, was carrying it out. Tom's sarcastic voice rang in her head. "We didn't even save all the people, and you're worried about mice." But suddenly Rachel realized, this wasn't stupidity. This was forgiveness. They all owed something, to the house, the dog, even the little mouse, and to each other. Barney looked up. "Woof. Let's go home, silly, if you remember where that is." They made their way out. Rachel with the rescued mouse, Barney wagging his tail and licking the girl, Tom standing outside in the rain, stunned. The neighbors were waiting. Some grumbled. Was it worth it? But in the eyes of others there was respect, and even envy. Not everyone could risk so much for just a dog or a silly mouse. Tom and Rachel, drenched and shivering, finally hugged for real. Barney, filthy but deliriously happy, jumped into Lily's lap, showering her with doggy joy. In that moment, nobody realized this day would change their family forever. And not just because of the flood. Because tomorrow, when Lily laughed in her sleep for the first time, they'd understand. She remembers who saved her. What happened that night was just the beginning. You won't believe what surfaces the next day. If you knew what the flood really brought out of this house. The family wasn't ready for the real revelation. Rescuers sent people to the temporary shelter. A school gym turned into an island of chaos and hope. Cots lined the walls, blankets scattered on the floor. Everyone clutching their own little tragedies. Lily slept, ear pressed against Barney's fur. Her mother stroked her hair, finally allowing herself to cry, among strangers, because now everyone was both strangers, and somehow one big family. Tom stared out the window, looking into the darkness where their house once stood. When he finally spoke, his voice was empty. "Now what? We have nothing." Rachel wiped her tears. "We have Lily. We have Barney. That's everything." Just then a volunteer appeared with a box. "Your last name?" "Andrews. This is for you." Inside, a few salvaged belongings, some old letters, a diary, a baby rattle, and a little envelope with no name. "Do you know what this is?" Rachel asked. "No idea." Later, when everyone else slept, she opened the envelope. Inside, an old photo with a note. "Not everything the water takes should be lost forever." The photo showed a young woman with a child, and another dog, eerily like Barney. Rachel stared at it, trying to remember. Her father always said their family had special dogs, but never explained why. And there, in the midst of loss, Rachel felt something new rise in her heart. Maybe sometimes we really do get a second chance. Barney growled, not in anger, but as if protecting them all from something invisible, something as old as the flood. The family's truth was just beginning to surface. What Rachel found in the diary would turn their lives upside down. What if your family isn't who you thought they were? Sometimes secrets find you at your most desperate hour. Rachel barely slept, leafing through the diary, staring at the photo. Every entry felt like a letter from the past, written by someone else, or by a woman she could have become if so much water hadn't flowed under the bridge. The diary started simply. Today Lily smiled at Barney for the first time. But soon the tone grew anxious. The water's up to the porch again. Tom swears this is the last time. Barney hasn't eaten in 3 days. It's like he senses something. And then in the scrawled pages, Rachel found a line that made her heart stop. I'm afraid if the truth comes out, Tom will never forgive me. Rachel realized these weren't her words. This was her mother Elizabeth's diary, the woman everyone blamed for the family's bad luck after her death. Now it turned out their skeletons went deeper than floods. She wanted to wake Tom but hesitated. If this secret was real, if even he didn't know, was it worth bringing up when the house was already gone? Barney sat beside her, head in her lap, eyes ancient as if he understood. Rachel was facing another flood, this time inside. At dawn, Tom woke up and found Rachel with the diary. What are you doing up? She handed him the photo. Who's this? Looks like your mom, he muttered. But she's got a different dog, Tom. Not Barney. Tom shrugged. All our dogs look the same. We love retrievers, it's not new. No, Tom, look at the eyes. It's the same gaze. Mom hit something. He brushed her off but took the diary, and the further he read, the more he frowned. I couldn't tell Rachel that Barney isn't just a dog. He always appeared when the family needed protecting. They said it was nonsense. But when the water came in the first year of my marriage, he saved me the same way he saves Lily now. I didn't believe in miracles until I saw it myself. Tom went cold, staring at Barney. Are you who you say you are, old boy? Barney sighed, as if tired of the question. A knock at the door, neighbor Meg, the one who always complained about noise and dog hair. I have something, she said, holding an old newspaper. This is from your mom's archive. Front page. A photo of Elizabeth with a golden dog, headline. Miraculous rescue during flood. Andrew's family saved thanks to dog named Barney. Tom burst out laughing, first nervously, then uncontrollably. That's impossible. He can't be the same dog. Barney looked at them with that same calm, weary, almost human gaze. Inside Rachel, everything fell away. If it was true, their family was connected to something bigger than just coincidence. But believing was scary. Lily giggled in her sleep, bright and honest. And in that laughter was the answer. Family isn't just those beside you. It's those who come when no one else can. But the most important thing was still ahead. Because today the past would collide with the future and decide if the Andrews had a shot at forgiveness. Can you forgive yourself when not only your child, but your whole life has been saved? Sometimes the answer is hidden in the eyes of the one we call ours. Rachel allowed herself to weep, out loud, not out of fear or loss, but because she felt free for the first time in years. She'd always believed she had to control everything. Her husband, her child, even the dog. Now looking at Barney, she realized, not everything is up to her. Tom was broken. No more sharp remarks, just bewilderment. I always thought a dog was just a dog, he murmured. Turns out he's something much more. Barney rested his head on Tom's knees. Tom broke down and sobbed. Meg, still holding the newspaper, spoke up. Maybe this is your inheritance. Not a house, not things, the ability to be saved and to save. Silence hung in the room. Rachel hugged Lily, who woke and reached for the dog. The girl said for the first time, Barney. It sounded like a vow, a promise that could never be broken. Barney shook his fur, as if agreeing. His mission was complete. Rachel went to the window, where the water still shone in the distance, and for the first time in years, she felt not fear but gratitude. Thank you for being here, she thought, and Barney seemed to sense it. The family realized the real miracle had already happened. They'd lost their home, their things, old habits, but found each other again, rescued, bedraggled but whole. What lay ahead only the new day would tell. But now they had the answer to the most important question. When the water is gone, only what really matters remains. And sometimes that's a golden dog who's saved you. Not once but all your life. What if behind one rescue, a new more dangerous threat is lurking? Sometimes the test doesn't end, it just changes its shape. Days passed, and the Andrews family was still at the temporary shelter. Life without a home was much harsher than they'd thought that first night after the flood. Rachel kept wondering if they'd ever go back to their old life. Their house was gone, savings were nearly depleted. Friends scattered across other towns. Even routine crumbled to silt. Tom withdrew into himself. He barely spoke to his wife and daughter, staring out the window for hours at bulldozers and army trucks. He was haunted not just by loss but by guilt. He believed it was his fault they hadn't saved the house. Barney seemed to feel the changes in each of them. He never left Lily's side, sleeping between the beds at night, as if guarding them even in dreams. But his loyalty wasn't enough to hide the cracks that began to spread through the family. One night, Rachel heard a noise by the entrance. She found Meg in the hallway, terrified. "There's water again," she whispered. "But not from the river. Someone flooded the sewers. Everything downstairs is pouring out." Panic took over as if the flood was happening all over. Kids were carried in arms, volunteers shouted orders. Rachel saw Tom lost, more broken than ever. Barney acted without hesitation. He barked and bolted for the door. Lily ran after him barefoot, clutching her doll. Rachel realized they could lose much more than just things this time. She caught up to her daughter at the exit. Then in the darkness Barney growled. A shadow flickered in the light. A stranger lurking at the wall. Not a rescuer, not a volunteer. Tom snapped out of his stupor. "Hey, who are you?" The stranger disappeared into the night. Meg trembled. "This isn't just water anymore. Something else is threatening us." Police arrived quickly but had no answers. "Not many will return after this," one officer said. "Now everyone's on their own." That night was uneasy. Rachel barely slept, clutching Lily, listening to Barney breathe nearby. She understood. Their ordeal wasn't over. Now their trust in each other was on the line. What happened that night was only the start of a new storm. No one knew if their family could weather the next wave. When everything collapses, only honesty saves relationships. But are they ready to open their eyes to their own mistakes and forgive each other? Morning brought a wet dawn and heavy silence. It turned out the flooding was sabotage. Someone had staged it to steal while everyone panicked. Several families lost documents and money. The Andrews family was among them. The box with the diary and old photos was gone. For Tom, it was the last straw. He snapped at Rachel. "All you care about is the dog. Do you realize we lost everything again?" Rachel broke down. "You blame me? Maybe start blaming yourself. You never took responsibility for the house, for us." Meg interrupted. "Enough. Look at Lily, she's not crying even though she lost every toy she had." At that moment Lily, barefoot and teary-eyed, hugged Barney's neck. "Barney, don't go." Barney looked at Tom, not just loyal but reproachful. Tom knelt down, stroked the dog's fur. "I'm sorry, buddy. I ruined everything." Rachel sat down with them, hugging her husband and daughter. "We have nothing. But we have each other, and we have you, Barney." Only then did Tom truly smile for the first time in ages. "Then let's start over. Together this time." Lily laughed, pure, unburdened. The adults exchanged glances. In that laughter, there was more hope than in all their lost possessions. Barney licked the girl, and even grumpy Meg wiped away tears. Just then news arrived. The city would begin rebuilding, and all victims would get temporary housing. "Can we go home?" Lily asked. Rachel looked at her husband, her daughter, Barney. "We've always been home as long as we're together." And for once no one argued.